asked me about you, oh, that was when I knew you're the real reason he's not coming home.
And welcome back to Woozyfly.com's Live at the Loft. I'm your host, Justin Kutcher, here with Tam Lin, and very nice job. I gotta say, there were some very deep songs in there. Kind of threw me for a loop. I'm guessing you're quite the intellect, is that correct?
I don't know about that.
Because there's one song where you mentioned the Tigris River, or, I mean, that's not like common knowledge to most people. And
yeah.
I want to ask, what was the story behind that song?
Yeah, it's a geography quiz. The song's called "The Soldier Called Uriah," and it's a story from the Bible, actually, where King David wants to sleep with his general's wife, and to do that, he sends his general into battle, and his general is killed, and then he sleeps with the general's wife, and this is a bad thing, and I thought it had a lot of relevance to the Iraq War. Mm-hmm. So the Tigris River is a river that goes through Iraq.
Right.
So.
No, that was definitely pretty interesting. And like I said, there's all these deep songs and deep lyrics going through, but really it all starts with the name that you go by, Tam Lin. What is the story behind that?
Tam Lin is a character in Scottish ballads, and I'm not, people always ask me why I took the name. The way I think names go with most people who have stage names is that you just all of a sudden feel this other thing, which is your stage presence, and it starts to have a life of its own, and you give it a name. And I always love the song Tam Lin. I don't know if you know the band Fairport Convention from the 60s. Richard Thompson was in it, but they do a really good version of it. Anyway, I loved it as a kid. My parents had a lot of folk music around, and I loved that song a lot. And it just sort of came to me in a dream that I just kind of realized that it would be better if I called myself on stage something besides myself, and that seemed to be the name. So.
All right. Well, you said your parents had music playing when you were a young kid. When did you get started playing the guitar, writing songs, all that kind of stuff?
Well, my mother's a composer, so I sort of started from birth, I guess, playing music. And I played the recorder and the clarinet when I was little, and I started playing guitar when I was 9. My stepmother had an old guitar from the 60s, and I started playing on that. And I taught myself a lot, but my mother helped me a lot because she taught me things like what a G is and all that kind of stuff. And so from a very, very early age.
There's a porcelain boy sitting on your shelf, looking down from the ledge and crying to himself.
So the new album, you mentioned your parents do like it. It's due to come out November 20th, is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
And what's been going on with that?
That's been great. It's the first full-length album. I've been writing and playing for my whole life, but it's taken me, I think, a while to sort of get things together, and now I have an hour's worth of songs. It's 14 songs, and it's very different than the way the last album was produced. The last album was really just all me, and this album is me. I'm playing bass, drums, guitar, piano, and singing too, but I'm inviting a lot of musicians in. I've invited a lot of musicians in. I've been able to play with Mike Shobe, who's a jazz trumpet player, is really excellent, and some percussionists, Matt Kilmer, and some drummers, Mike Rafisi from a band called the Butane Variation. So just some really great musicians have been added to the whole mix, so it's not so much like this thing in my head anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And now there is actually a release party. Is that correct?
It's going to be at Luna Lounge on November 20th. So it'll be fun. It'll be with a full band and some belly dancers and some videos. So.
Wow.
They took my clothes and cut off all my hair. I must have sat out there for hours, alone among the flowers, till all I wanted was to keep on sitting there.
And as far as you're concerned, you grew up here in New York City, so obviously you saw a lot of different music growing up. Was there one person outside of your family that you saw growing up, maybe around here, that had an influence on you?
Yeah, I saw when I was 15 years old. I saw Pharoah Sanders play at the Village Vanguard, and he totally blew my mind. And just the way he was bringing all kinds of obviously he's a jazz player, but bringing a lot of kind of folk stuff together. And it was awesome, and I met him afterwards, and it was kind of sad though, because I met him afterwards, and the first thing he said to me, he didn't know me, but I was sitting in his path, and he said, I'm getting way too old for this. and it kind of put a damper on it. But other than that, it was this brilliant performance that really kind of just made me inspired to play music, you know.
And then what's it like for you now, going out around this city that you grew up in, playing in these venues?
It's great. I mean, it's I love the fact that in New York everything changes every year. So I've played in some clubs under different names that have changed their names. I've played at clubs that used to be different clubs, you know, years ago. And it feels like you're kind of like going through all these archaeological layers of the city. It's cool. It's a great experience to have lived here for so long.
Well, we've got archaeological layers. We've got a reference to the Tigris River in your song. It's definitely been a history and geography lesson here. I do appreciate you stopping by, Tam Lin. Great job.
It's a pleasure.
We look forward to the next CD coming out November 20th, and have fun at the release party.
Thank you.
He is Tam Lin. I am Justin Kutcher. Thank you so much for joining us here on Woozyfly.com's Live at the Loft. And don't forget, Woozyfly.com. Create your own buzz.
Hi, I'm Tam Lin. You're watching Woozyfly.com. Create your own buzz.